Hi, everybody, and welcome to the CDO magazine interview series. Today, I'm here with Ted Kaouk, and Ted is the Deputy Director of Human Capital Data Management and Modernization and the Chief Data Officer at the Office of Personnel Management. Welcome, Ted.
Hi, Denise. It's nice to be with you today.
So curious to know, as we think about the roadmap, strategy, data strategy, and a roadmap. How are you approaching data reconciliation in a cloud environment? It's I think cloud, first of all, very broad term, but there are multiple ways to be in the cloud. There are agencies might have they're using different cloud providers, so how are you taking all of those disparate places to have data and reconciling those to make the data accessible, useful, shareable? Is there a single approach that the federal government is taking, or is that, again, back to this kind of collaborative, meet each other halfway type of discussion?
I mean, I certainly think that there are areas where some of the strategy work at agencies is kind of a collection point for broader collaboration and data sharing. So if I think about my experience at the Department of Agriculture, where we had 19 very large agencies with decades and decades of really siloed data, the opportunity for a data strategy chief data officer and that team sport to be able to think about how do we address that from a platform perspective, particularly as we were moving to the cloud. We didn't have an enterprise analytics platform on-prem or in the cloud. So when we established that platform, it really allowed us to create a standardized, centrally available set of tools, connecting those data sources, and really, for the first time, enabling a broad range of analytics, whether that was descriptive or advanced predictive techniques or natural language processing, and data from an unprecedented number of sources, at least from our perspective, about 150 sources and counting from every part of USDA and outside the department. So if you think about that as a microcosm, and USDA, 19 agencies and 2 statistical agencies is really kind of a microcosm of the federal government, but it has a chief financial officer, it has a chief information officer, it has a chief data officer. And so to have that leadership be able to create that strategy and implement it really is enabling that agency to better partner with other agencies and with the public and to improve its internal decision making. And so I think both the federal data strategy, CDO position, the team sport, and the right level of aggregation of that data is going to enable all of these agencies to better collaborate and create even better approaches in the future. So I think we're just at the beginning of that overall, but I think that approach seems to be having a pretty significant impact both internally and I think increasingly externally in the interagency conversation.
Yeah, I just have to tell you again, and I know I'm getting repetitive here, but as an American citizen, it excites me to hear that these are the types of strategies that are being put in place as it regards the data that you have access to. It just feels like the federal government is being a very good steward of our data and really invested in making it impactful back to the citizens. And so I have a high appreciation for how much work goes into all of this, but just feels good to know that this is where you're heading. So thank you for that. So I'm just going to tug on the cloud string one more time. Just wondering if you have any concerns syncing active data environments into the cloud, from a security, data integrity standpoint. Any concerns there?
I mean, obviously this is a key priority. We have not only the federal data strategy, we have a zero trust strategy. Mm-hmm. So certainly it's again, just going back to that team sport metaphor, when we're historically, I think we've looked at things primarily at the system level. We now need to get down to sensitivity at the data level, and we need the chief information security officers and chief data officers and privacy officers working together to implement that zero trust strategy. Many agencies have made significant moves to the cloud already. Other agencies are poised to do a lot more. And I think that zero trust is just one component of ensuring that we are continuing to improve the security and integrity of the data. And it's really going to require a lot of collaboration. So whether it was the enterprise analytics platform themselves we just talked about, or the security and integrity of the data. These are challenges both in the public sector or in the private sector, where the challenges I think are very similar in a lot of ways, and anyone who's tried to engage in them knows what those challenges are, and is constantly vigilant about trying to continue to improve those areas. But I think we have a good framework, and I think we have good progress, but there's a lot more to do for sure.
Got it. Thank you for that. Just shifting gears now, I'm just wondering if you can talk about what you think are the biggest trends in data currently, and how we might prepare for those trends. How do we prepare for the future to incorporate those trends and make our data more useful and impactful?
Well, this is something that we're thinking about on the CDO Council, and I think it's important that people know within that federal data strategy, there are actions that each agency is taking. They are establishing data governance boards. They're assessing their data maturity. They're creating the data inventories. They are assessing the gaps related to their data skills. And so, part of the trends I think going forward are to continue to improve in those areas, and then continue to ratchet up where we can improve. So, this year we really focused on the CDO profession as a new profession. What are the things that are going to make agency CDOs successful in creating value early, so they have the resources that they need to be able to continue to deliver more value? Where are we needing to bring in new skills into the government? We worked on the first government-wide hiring action to bring in data science talent into the federal government, and we had, I think, over 50 hires with that particular initiative. And then we're really focused on how all these things fit together. When you have a better data platform, when you have better tools in the cloud, you're able to attract better talent because people get to do the kind of work that they want to do. And I think what makes me most bullish and optimistic about data science and data analytics in the federal government is the competitive nature of our mission, meaning the value that people get to contribute when they work in the federal government. Think about the kinds of issues that you get to deal with at the Forest Service, or working on economic or climate issues. So I think that's a big attractor, but we have to have the infrastructure, we have to have the tools, we have to have the vision to attract the talent that we need and to continue to move the ball forward. So in terms of trends, I think that idea around attracting the right talent and upskilling, coupled together with the capabilities we're bringing together and how they relate to one another, is really where I think we want to put our attention over the next few years for sure.
I think that answer is that's such a great answer. It's probably not the obvious answer, but how critical, it's such a critical piece of success of CDO position, and really just the future of data in general, is to have the right people in the right seats and to attract attention. And I have to agree with you about the access to data projects that you have in the federal government are probably more impactful than the large majority of other places people could work and have access to data. So I agree on that being a very good selling point to come to the federal government for a data job. But love that answer. Thank you.
I'll have to do a little bit of marketing for anybody who's interested. There's a big demand out there for people to come into government. So I would encourage people to look on USA Jobs, look out for those job announcements. I think they're going to continue to become more competitive in terms of salaries. And I think also, again, the impact that you can have is really incredible. That's what I found. That's why I'm so passionate about public service. And I know that that there are many, many other people who share that perspective. So just put that out there.
With I thank you for throwing that out there. I think it's a really important message. And I think hopefully hearing you speak and others from the federal government speak will help them realize how forward thinking the federal government is. I think there's a perception sometimes that it's just so old and stuck and, dated, and, listening to you speak, I think will really bring some clarity to the fact that that's not true. And that the projects you're working on are very forward thinking, and you are using technology like AI and other tools that you have to make sure that the federal government is front and center in this data conversation. And I just want to say thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. I'm fascinated by the work that you do, and I'm very appreciative of the work that you and the other federal government CDOs are doing on our behalf every day. So thank you very much for that. And again, thank you for sharing with us and spending the time with us today. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity, Denise. I had a great time, and anytime, look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no. So again, thank you, Ted, for joining me today. And for all of you out there listening, please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews, and have a great day, everybody.